To those who want some really quick and helpful tips, here are 10 of my favorite tips for railroads online. Always, always, always number and reporting mark your cars for the industries. What I do, so right here, 400 is the number. That's like when even though the boxcar is tier, I believe, 5? Even though the boxcar is tier 5, what I do is I number them in order of what I'm buying new stock for. So this is the 400. This is the 4th industry I've bought stock for. Now, if this is something like the Ironworks where I am, will have the 4 and 500 series. Easy. There's that. Also, the reporting mark right here that you see, JCIW. When we get, when we start to get towns, when we start to get, villages, things like that. What this reporting mark is, let me break it down for you. JC is the name of the town that I plan to have around the ironworks. It is Jimrid Creek, and IW is the industry. It means ironworks. So, I have 400 to 419 in the boxcars, so that's 20 boxcars. I always make it a rule. Every industry should have minimum 20 cars for delivery of that particular freight. Like the logging camp, it has 2 sets of cars. Cordwood and the log bunks. Those are the 1 and 200 series. Industries that have multiple freight that you need to deliver to other places should have 1 or 2 cars representative of what they carry. The sawmill, for example, will be getting steak flats. This is where I'm going to get into my next tip. Which is, for the love of God, livery code your cars. So, as you can see here, I'm doing the red with the white roof stripe on the boxcars. Here's a much better version. Number 410. If you livery code alongside putting your reporting mark, you have a visual reminder that this is specifically for this industry and this town. So that's tips 1 and 2. Let me give you tip 3. Tip 3 is right between the lines of boxcars. Tip number 3. Make sure each and every line of cars you buy for your industry has at least one little bobber caboose. This is so that way, if you're going to be taking any length of trains, you can have a conductor in the caboose. Now, I will tell you this as someone who's looking to be a railroad conductor himself. You're not going to be, doing what they do in Unstoppable or in any of those movies. You're going to be doing things like you're going to be sitting on a bed or something, like sitting right here. You're going to be looking at paperwork, train orders. You're going to be reading track warrants. You're going to be reading way bills. You're going to be telling the engineer, hey, I need you to cut in boxcars numbers 413 and 405. I always, always, always recommend that every set of cars has a bobber caboose of some kind. Always. Because every train that's going to be taking that freight, either when you're going out with the boxcars of tools down to the oil fields, you want to have that caboose. You want to have that conductor ready and raring to go. He knows where it's going, what needs to be dropped off, everything. Now, you'll notice something else here. This is another tip I have. When you buy engines, I always recommend doing a set of private owner engines for each industry. Right here, this is the Mosca 280, named Bill number 07, for the Jimard Creek Ironworks. This is their road engine. I always recommend an industry has to have one road engine and one switch engine. There are a few hundred other tips I can mention, but let's get into the next set. This one is most important for me. All industries should have a shedding facility. I'll give you an example I'll tell you why. While doing this trick, the shedding facility, also please ignore cat crunching food, is for one thing. A lot of people want to go back to something that was in Railroads Online's predecessor, and I'll pull that up in a minute, which is maintenance. But in here, I love having a shed where you can keep the engines for that industry. Now, why would you want a shed for the industry? Let's say let's say the Mosca fail. Let's say your Mosca, the big 280 I just showed off, fails. You can make minor repairs and then bring it back here, put it in the shed, and actually have a full-on maintenance team look at it. There are a number of other props and plans I could give you. One of my favorites is the idea of something very, very lovely. Let me put the Mosca away, and I'll talk about it. Because it's actually up. It's not here. It's up at the logging camp. Also, please note that I'm doing this all single player, so that's why I'm constantly jumping on and off the engines while they're moving. Cannot time worth a bean. Corking the doors so that way the engines don't have any damage. Map. Logging camp. Up here at the logging camp. This is Miane Forest, or yeah. That should be Miane Forest Logging Camp. Backwards. But right here, this is a maintenance of way train. Well, a plow train. So I have the way car for the workmen. Yeah, you can cram like 30 guys in here. This is a little sardine tin. You have a box car for their tools, so like pick, shovels, whatever else they need when clearing the snow. The foreman for the guys gets his own little private caboose. Yay! I gotta treat the foreman nice. But back here, in these sheds... Okay, you may be wondering, why do you have two sheds? If engines that come up need to have monster repairs, I always like to have a spare shed for those engines. So here are my logging locomotives. Here's the Heisler, Climax, Shea, and back here is the little Porter. See right here, this should be, Miane Forest Logging Camp. So some of those are screwed up. I'm not gonna rebuy all that stuff. Sorry, that's just too much of a headache. But this engine back here, little yard pilot, little shed pilot. Why do you want a shed pilot? Well, you fire this up, and let's say, the Shea here is having a hard time building steam, as real steam engines would. You can use the little Porter back there to push it onto the turntable and hopefully get it moving enough to where, oh, hey, guess what? She can now move. Also, I redid the yard up here, and I accidentally took away one of my favorite features. And it's something I would recommend in all yards. Some form of a catch point or a derailer. Why would I recommend something like that? Well, let's say an engine's running away out of the shed, and you want to keep it from colliding with something in the yard, or you want to keep it from fouling operations on the main line. Bada bing, bada boom. There you go. In fact, I'll even show you something. You can make a set of catch points. Right here. Right here, right now. I'll even do it. Your engine would come here, clunk, right in the snow. Okay. Back. So that way, hey, guess what? You know, you can't... you can't do... Oh, it was 39 cars. I left her in notch 8. You can't do that. Or you can't go, hey, she's building steam wheat slowly. Maybe I have enough time to run and go grab a breakfast sandwich from McDonald's. Let me tell you something. Doing a stunt like that is a good way to get fired. Being that kind of stupid is a good way to get yourself not only fired, but it's a good way to never work in the industry again. You know, that's the thing. Like, it really is your death wish. If you want to be that stupid, go right ahead. Be my bloody guest. Not my problem. But I always like to have a catch point or two in the yard. A lot of people will go, oh, that's just you being way too protective. Well, maybe me being protective, but, you know, do you want to see people get hurt? And always, 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 if you're going to have catch points near the turntable, make sure they're locked to the point. Or, another thing you can do, and this is one of my favorite tricks, is instead of having one turntable connected like this, let's say you're connecting 3 or 4 turntables. And you're going to have one help with the catch point. Hey, wait, stop! You know, you could do that. Or, even better, let's clean all this up. I'm going to show you another trick I use. I'm redoing my logging camp here, area here, because I really want to show off a better style of using catch points. Or catch tables. Whatever you want to call them this week. Like that. Right there. Engine is on the turntable. You know, she's building steam. The crew left the regulator open. What it is she will run along this piece. This turntable only has access to this outbound track, but There's turntables for helping to, turn engines so that way they can get around other cars. This one is for more like you're switching in the yard and you didn't really want to put in more switches, so you do this. Okay. But having some way to derail your engines, whatever that may be, is going to be one of the most important things in Railroads Online. The narrow gauge at this time, I don't believe, had automatic derailleur. But just having some way to derail a runaway train. Having some way to get the runaway train stopped without having an accident. Yeah, you're gonna put the train in the dirt. Yeah, it's not good. It's not gonna look good on the company that you work for. Whoever's company that is. Okay, I understand. But think of it like this. We're gonna be getting passengers. We're gonna be getting the mail train soon. I don't know when, I don't know how. But I'm going to tell you right now, practicing with freight-only operations, things like catch points, or catch tables, or whatever you want to call them, derailers, is going to help you. Because the minute you can find a way to safely put a train in the dirt, oh boy! Yeah, it's not pretty. Yeah, the company owner might get pissed off. Perfect example is that I have a friend who we were playing a game with a few other guys that he knew. Friends of his that I hadn't met. And some of them were reckless. They love just kicking cars on the open road. Wee, 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 wee. One idiot decided, hey, let me kick some cars from the logging camp down to the sawmill. However, his line had it where there's a small holding yard for freight cars full of logs to be held at the sawmill. There's a set of catch points coming down this track. And this guy was kicking, I want to say it was like 30 or 40 loaded log cars all at once. He got the bright idea, just set out 5 on the main line, bang another 5 in, bang another 5 in. As they moved and the train got longer and longer, it edged to this slope. That was like a 3.5? Yeah, 3.5% grade. Bam! They just ran away. And this guy didn't even panic. He didn't even say, oh, we got to run away. He said nothing at all. I was waiting. There's a loop halfway up the line, halfway up the 3.5%. And I was waiting with a light engine move to go up to the logging camp to pick up cars when I just saw these things fly by. Now, our rule of thumb is to always have the switches or whatever it is locked to that derail point. And he did. And thank God he did. Because there was not only a train of iron ore cars being switched, a coal train, a train of raw iron, a train of rails, a train of beams, and a train of lumber were being switched out there. Imagine the disaster that could have been had those cars hit. No. No, 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 no. So even if it sounds silly, looks silly, feels stupid, it isn't. Always have a way to protect your yard. Never think that what you're doing is stupid, silly, foolish, idiotic, or dumb. Never think that. Never, never think that. And I will be... And speaking of things that people will say are idiotic, foolish, dumb, and stupid, having multiple refueling points. Like right here's a refueling point. Over here's another fueling point. This one's just like logs. But I'm going to tell you right now. Actually, I want to put in something here. And while I'm putting this in, I'll talk about this. Never feel like an idiot when you have to put in multiple fueling points. And there's a reason for it. On the railroad, one of the big things that we always hear is how time is money. Time is money. Time is money. Time is the green stuff. And in a game like Railroads Online, where you've got passengers, where you've got, you know, important trains that have to be here, there, and everywhere. When we're getting the mail, we're going to be getting the mail train. We're going to be getting passengers. I keep saying this. At some point, we're going to be getting passengers and mail. We're really going to be needing to haul the mail. What people will always say is, why should you have multiple fueling points? I mean, you're not really going to be refueling a ton of engines. Oh, trust me. Will you actually connect? Why are you not connecting? There we go. You know, you're always going to hear people say, you know, why should we be connecting? You know, why should we be, you know, having multiple fueling points? Simple. If one's being filled or being used by another crew, you can use another one to get fuel. Bada bing, bada boom, done. Most sheds had 2 to 3 fueling points. Most yards had multiple places where crews could put water, coal, wood, oil, kerosene, cheese. The hopes and dreams of everyone wanting to get into various fan universes, whatever the fuel source is. That was what that was for. You know, and hey, you can say, "Oh, that's just stupid." Not really. Another thing that I would also recommend. Find what works for you in terms of switching moves. You watch your... just because Jim Bob Jones loves turntable switching and has turntables in all of his yards where there's more turntable than siding, yeah, that may not work for you. I will tell you right now, I only turntable switch if I have to build in a freight yard that has limited space. And let me tell you something. It is a pain to switch with turntables. A lot of people look at it and go, oh my god, it's so easy. Okay, it's easy. You only have to... Your head spins. Mm-mm. No. Whatever switching methods work for you, use them. Try out different ones in different yards. Okay, the coal mine. I've got plenty of space. I could do triangle switching. Okay, why don't we try out a little triangle switching? We've got some sidings. We've got a place where we can triangle some freight cars. Okay, go for it. I don't care. You just have to know the pitfalls that come with things like triangle switching. That you're turning freight cars around when freight cars don't really need to be turned around. You're gonna be... you're gonna try to turn an entire train when all that you need to do is do the 050 method. What's the 050? As a friend of mine says, you grab your caboose, you grab your engine, you swap ends, and you run. An example of what I mean by that is, let's say you bring up a train of empty log cars. Or even up here, empty cordwood cars. Your engine is on the one end, pulling the cars up the hill, and you shove into this side, collect your load, you would pull the cars in here, there'd be enough room for the engine and the caboose. You pull the engine onto the turntable, bring it back. You don't even have to turn the engine around. You can run backwards with a Shay, a Heisler, a Climax, whatever geared locomotive you want to run with. You run back here, you grab the caboose, you shove it on the turntable, swap it over to this track, run back here, where the caboose was is now your front end. You just bring the whatever engine it is up, pin them in, collect the caboose, run back, shove out, and then backwards. Bye. Gone. You don't need to be, oh my god, I gotta have, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. No, you don't. Right here's another example of a catch point. This is a siding for firewood cars. This is a small yard of firewood cars. I'm gonna tell you right now, I know plenty of idiots who love to leave their brakes off on the firewood cars. When we get air brakes, I know that people are gonna want to not tie on the air. People are gonna want to, They want to be moving quickly. They want to run trains. They don't want to be doing, the 35-minute procedure of, tying on the air. Doing an air and brake pressure test is not 35 minutes in actuality. It can be as long as 2 hours, depending on how long your train is. You know, I've seen plenty of idiots put an engine here on this little siding. You know, okay, you've got your firewood cars here. All of a sudden, you know, you put your engine here, and following my own rule, tie that to the main. Tie that to the straight through, to the derail point. You know, oh, like, our engine is out of steam pressure. Boiler's cold because there's no one to maintain that heat. All that boiler pressure just faster than, you know, the hopes and dreams of anyone here becoming president. It just dropped. Like the base. All of a sudden, you know, they throw in some firewood. The guy, you know, gets up from his computer to go grab a tea. Grab a tea, grab a sandwich. Check on the cats, check on the dog, you know, feed the goldfish. Have a quick shower, whatever. Whatever you want to put in here, you can. All of a sudden, oh look! He left her in full reg, or notch 8. She's light engine, or she's got 39 cars. But because somebody left the switches set to that catch point, bam! Done. You don't have to panic. You are protected. So, let me run through the tips again. 1. Number and reporting mark your cars, and even your locomotives. 2. Make sure that when you do the reporting marks or numbers, if you want to be easy. Okay, number 2. Color code your cars for the load and the industry that they're working in. Number 3. Catch points. Number 4. A little shed pilot. Number 5. Make sure you have a caboose of some kind at your industry. So that way your conductor can sit there and fill out paperwork. You know, he has a place where he can keep the track warrant, where he can keep the train orders, where he can keep meat orders, where he can keep switch list, whatever it is. Number 6, have a maintenance of way train at each of your industries or towns. So that way you can plow the line ahead of a passenger train or a freight train. Number 7. I may have rambled on some of these points. Having a shed. So that way you can store engines at each industry. Number 8, having a spare shed. So that way if engines come up from other locations, you don't have to be like, oh crap, I don't have a place to hide them. Shed A, my shed is so full of my own engines that I don't have a place for these guys. Always have a spare shed. Sometimes you don't want to put a spare shed in. I understand. It could be a pain in the butt. But taking that little bit of time is going to be just so much better. Tip number 9, and this is my big one. You know, I've seen every railroader talk about this. Everybody and their dog talks about this one. Be vigilant. That story I told you about the guy kicking cars, not paying attention, and me watching him and, you know, reporting back down, hey, we got a runaway. Complacency kills. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, no matter what you think, complacency kills. Complacency is how accidents happen. Look at 475. Look at Bryn Athyn. Look at Winslow Junction. The complacency in those incidences, the complacency is there, led to the biggest disasters. 475's smoke box door being smashed in. The local train leaving Bryn Athyn Station and colliding with the express on the Newtown branch. The red eye taking the wrong track at Winslow Junction. Just because the schedule gets screwed up doesn't mean that you can be complacent. Some people will try to talk to you, but it's like, oh, I'm so used to the schedule. Yeah. All of a sudden, why are 500 people dead? All I did was get complacent. And number 10. Most important. This one is special to me. Very important to me too. Know your route.